In this video, I'm going to give you 4 tips for more bold, confident brushwork. Most representational painters today admire and desire more loose, bold brushwork, like you see in the paintings of say, Sargent or Sorolla, for example. Yet I find most students complain about either being too timid to try it or just overworking painting after painting and losing any sense of that confident brushwork. So today I want to show you what I call paint it and leave it. Putting brush marks down and leaving them, not overworking, keeping your brushwork fresh and lively. So here are 4 tips for how you can have more confident, bold brushwork. This is Ian Roberts and Mastering Composition. Here's the image I'm going to paint today, a photo from a trip to Death Valley last month. And tip number 1 for bold brushwork, establish a structure or a design before you begin to paint. And what that means is you want lines of engagement on the whole picture plane that pull us in to your composition or design. So for example, in this one, we have a horizon which engages us left to right on the picture plane. And we could say like a spine that comes down vertically, something like that, which engages us top to bottom. And then we have these subsequent diagonals and horizontals that lead into that spine, we could say, that reinforce it, that takes us to what will be the center of interest right there. The interaction of what will be this orange against this blue. This forms like the foundation I will build the painting on. You find that first and your success rate will soar. It gives you a roadmap, so you have a pretty good idea of where you're going. You can't hope to figure this out halfway through a painting. And this is, in fact, what I teach in my course, Mastering Composition, how to build that foundation in your paintings. And we're going to be offering that again, in fact, next month. So let's go to the demonstration. This is a 9x12 oil painting. My color palette is listed down below. Now, tip number 2 is slow down and really take your time mixing the right color. I only show here maybe 3 of the mixtures I tried. I probably tried 6 or 7 before I got that rich blue shadow color. So mix and test the color. Don't just lather on the first color you mix. Mix and test until you feel you really have the color right. Because nothing will ruin good brushwork quicker than having to repaint whole sections because your color was off. You can see I'm having to make the vertical brush marks here because horizontally I'm getting a lot of glare from the lights. So in order to let you see the value, I'm having to go vertical like that, which isn't perfect for paint it and leave it. And that you can see is a step darker and a little grayer because it's moving forward and doesn't have that blue of distance that we have for the distant mountains. Now I'm putting in the sky. I just put it in one big shape and realized, no, I need to get that cloud shape in at the bottom. So I put in, it's a big whack of paint that I have on there, a big mark of paint and then a nice rich blue at the top. So we're getting that sort of contrast between the sky and the clouds. And then this is the first color. One thing you'll notice is the brush looks really small here, but it's a big palette. I mean, it's 30 inches across, I think. So it doesn't look so small when I'm actually painting on the 9x12 canvas. But see, I mean, it looks fairly normal here, but it looks really tiny on the palette. But this is the first warm color of the sunlit patches along those mountains. Tip number 3 is you're painting shapes. Think shapes, not trees, not mountains, shapes. So you'll see once I find the color I want, I put that color down as a shape with lots of paint. A lot of the clips are pretty short in this demo because it just shows 1 or 2 brush marks. And then I go and reload my brush. I'm just going shape by shape. Nothing will defeat bold brushwork more quickly than a mass of disconnected detail. Look at the amount of detail in some of these places. And you realize I'm cutting all that out and just using shapes. So you can see how I'm just putting in each one of those shadow shapes, single line of paint. So I'm filling my brush with paint and I'm putting in one stroke. And then if I need more, I'll often flip the brush over and get two strokes out of filling the brush, then go back and reload the brush. Nothing will stop this kind of paint it and leave it quality quicker than just muddling the color that you're putting on with the one that's on the canvas, and the two get muddled up together. You have to keep refilling your brush and loading it, cleaning it and loading it. Otherwise, the colors just get muddy and muddled up as you go. So paint it and leave it is based on this idea that you've got a roadmap, a structure that you've thought of before you begin, that you're slowing down and really thinking about the color mixtures and getting them right before you lather them all on. And 3, that you're just thinking shapes. And you can see that as I go here, one thing is you could say, well, why didn't I use yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and raw umber? It's just a desert scene. You don't need this full palette. But in fact, by going and using quite a full, rich palette of orange and purple and blue and all these different colors, I reduce the intensity, but every time I do it, it's slightly different. And it isn't as uniform as just the burnt sienna, as already quite a neutral color. So now there you see the orange I've put against the blue, which we're saying is going to be the center of interest when you're done. You can just see that now see that mark I put up in the very last top right left-hand corner there? See how it mixed with the blue? I have to go back and fix that because it's just starting to say, is that back in the mountain or is that up in the bush? You see how it's doing that? So I have to go back and fix that, and I'm going to wait until it's dry. But you can see how specific and you see I'm sort of twisting the brush there to get a nice line of paint coming off the end without it just smearing. And you can see it's just, I'm thinking in terms of shapes. Now on an edge like this, I actually get it more muddled than I want and I clean it up later. But you can see how much of this is I know where I'm going with it. I've mixed the color that I know will work, and I'm just putting it in one after, paint it and leave it. I mean, here, this whole mountain, I'm thinking needs to be further back. Couple of marks, push it back. It's not that when you paint it and leave it, you can't make mistakes. It's that if you have made a mistake, then you just have to remix your color and put it down on top. Now look at the darks underneath here, right? Those are pretty clumsy, aren't they? Not really that sort of vibrant. Now these are pretty good in terms of just getting the shadow shapes of these different trees and so on. But you'll see that I'll put the marks down and won't be absolutely fanatical about getting it right the first time, because I can load my brush with color and clean the shape up later. There, I'm just sort of think I got that bottom edge just sort of a little too muddled, right? So here's this other bush. And again, you just see it's a shape. And I'm just thinking of what are the brush marks, and a couple of little marks there to sort of give us the sense that, oh, it's a bush. It's not a piece of concrete, but not very much of it. Just one or two places to sort of give us that sense of I see, it's a bush moving up. So I wanted to show you quite a bit of this demo so that you saw that it wasn't just a few shapes at the beginning and then, well, okay, it's nice to say that, but then you see all these things happening later that weren't really just paint it and leave it. I wanted to show you the whole thing as it just piece by piece, shape by shape, starts to manufacture. Now, remember I said that the bottom of some of those darks weren't very good? You see that by getting a lot of paint on there and just cleaning up the bottom edge, oh, I see, now they kind of feel like they're coming out of that sandbank. So it's just, you don't need to make every brush mark perfect. You can come back in and clean it up. Paint it and leave it doesn't mean you're not allowed to fix things up. It just means when you do it with another mark of paint, one on top of the next, like that. Now this is like, I'm thinking, okay, that needs to be a slightly richer color. I put it on top of the old one. I need to get sort of a shadow color in there. I need to adjust the shape of that. It's not a problem. I just get lots of paint on there and I put another mark in that cleans up the shape. So it's that each mark is reconsidered as, okay, I'm making this one in order to correct that problem, and it's a mark of paint. Now I need, okay, needs to be a real snap of color there, and I put another piece of paint on top of it that's even cleaner. Need a little piece of paint in there, just pop it in. Each one of those shadows, a mark. It's like I'm creating a shorthand for the world, symbols of the world, shapes that when we stand back, read as a whole. So there's the painting after 50 minutes. And I thought I'd just stop before I start to overwork it. I let it dry and I came in with the thought that I need to adjust that so it's clearly part of the tree here and not maybe muddled up thinking it's back here. I need to get these shapes probably lighter so they're a little bit more like that. I think this shape needs to be adjusted so we know it's part of these bushes and not something further back. Maybe that could be a little simpler. So with those few corrections in mind, I just go directly and solve those problems, right? Again, it's just paint it and leave it. Maybe that mountain shape's a little kind of even, and so I wanted to sort of change the shape a little bit. But it's just, I see something standing back, maybe 8 feet back there, sort of getting a couple of marks that says, oh, that's a bush right there, not something that exists back maybe half a mile. And there's getting in that color to make sure that that's popping in front of the blue. Maybe it was a little too rich, a little bit of shadow shape on that side. But you can see that I've just got certain things in mind and I'm just cleaning up those things. I'm not painting and repainting and overpainting. And that second line of mountains, I just wanted it to match the ones above. And then just look, this is the center of interest and just a couple of marks to say, oh, there's a little detail there, a couple of edges that just give us the sense of that's the center of interest. And there's the finished painting. Not overworked, I don't think. You can see the brush marks, but everything falls into the illusion. So in your next painting, 1, think structure before you put brush to canvas. 2, slow down and mix color carefully. And 3, think in shapes. And finally, tip number 4, recognize confident brushwork requires a lot of attention. It doesn't happen automatically. Even though you've seen demos that seem to make it look completely effortless, in a way, it is the ultimate mindfulness technique. You have to pay attention brushstroke after brushstroke, but the payoff is a painting that feels lively and fresh. So I do hope you found this helpful. As I mentioned, we'll be offering our Mastering Composition course next month, the only time we offer it each year, and my very best wishes to you all the best, and bye for now.